Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with voice actor, podcaster, and character development muse Maccabee Griffin. As an Army veteran who's been close to blown up a few times during his service overseas in Iraq, he has seen a few things that are still hard for him to internalize. Yet, he has used everything else he has experienced in life to bring characters to life, not only in voiceover, but in writing as well. One of his passions is to develop characters, their backstories, family legends, and world events and mythology that can help inspire and impact any storyteller's fictional worlds. We get into quite a bit during this interview. Enjoy.
Maccabee, thanks for taking a minute out. I appreciate it.
Hey, no worries. Glad to be here.
Let's start off here before we get in your life as a voice actor, a character development muse, podcaster. How did you survive COVID? The last couple of years has been pretty crazy. How did you make it through that time period, and how did it change you?
Well, that's a pretty good question. A lot of things honestly have kept me going. I had family, that was always good, friends. I had a 9-to-5 job at that time with a pharmaceutical company, and then, things happened. But because of that, I think it was just merely faith and just going where God wants me to go.
Let me get a handle exactly. I see on paper what you do for a living, but let me get a clear handle on things. And I'm going to take you in front of a group of third graders at a career day. And one of the kids looks up at you and says, "What do you do for a living, and how are you qualified to do it?" How would you answer that kid?
Well, I would say I'm really good at what I do because it's the gift that God has given me. I write characters from a different point of view. I write from an author's point of view from an actor's point of view instead of an author's point of view. I look at the psychology. I look at the emotions that imply what the character wants to do, and I actually listen to the character that's already in me. And it allows me to really just get out of their way and let them tell their story. So that's what allows me to do what I do.
So let's go back to the beginning of your life. Talk to me a little bit about where you were born and raised and how these seeds came into you of wanting to be a writer and to do what you do now.
Okay. So I actually grew up in the theater. I grew up in a small town, first in Staunton, Indiana, and then I grew up in another small town called Linton, Indiana, and for me it was merely just watching a friend of mine at church on stage and me looking at the age of 6 and looking at my dad and saying, that's what I want to do. I want to be on stage. And that's what I did for a very long time. And then went to school for it. But fear got in the way, and I just decided let me just try something else instead. I think maybe acting, writing, things of that nature are merely just a hobby and not, what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. And honestly, I was wrong, but the fact is that God gave me a second chance at it, but he just wanted me to really get a lot more life experience under me first before I started to think about this and to allow life to move in a different way. And so I just went with the flow with it. And because of that, it was fun. I had family, I had friends that always still kept telling me the same thing over and over again. You need to go back and write. You need to go back and act. And that's what I did. I finally just did it.
So you were in the Army for a while, correct?
Yes, sir. I was in the Army for 9.5 years before I was medically retired.
So how did that service in the military help you with what you're doing now, with pursuing your dream?
Well, when you're almost blown up a few times here and there, you look at life in a different light. You don't really let too many things try to get to you. Now, obviously, I look at stress in a different way than others. It's also allowed me to accept things a lot easier than others have. It's allowed me to look at people in a different light than most would say. And it's one of those things that when you feel like you've finally done something bigger than you and you've gotten that out of the way, then it allows you to actually look at life and say, okay, I did that. I did that for everybody else. Now I'm going to do this for me. And that's what I did.
Every day you wake up, you have the opportunity to obviously create this world that you want to live in. What do you look forward to the most? What is it that motivates you to get through your day to do what you do?
Going back to sleep. Honestly, just seeing what comes my way. You never know what's coming your way, especially as an actor, especially as someone who obviously, when you're trying to find that next big project, that next role, and you get a lot of no's. I know in my first year when I was doing this, I put in over 1,000 auditions easily and only got 10 projects, and 7 of them were for free. But I knew that I had to build up a portfolio. And over time, even when I wanted to give up and people telling me, no, you need to do this, you're good at it, God wants you to do it, so stay on the road. And through that time, I found that keeping yourself busy and understanding that you're going to have things coming your way, you just have to be patient with the Heavenly Postal Service. Because once you've already ordered whatever you've ordered, you just need to wait until it gets to you. So I would definitely say that waking up and seeing if I got a package yet is always interesting for me.
Who have been role models for you? Who have been people that you've admired or a hero that's been something that's fueled you throughout your life?
I would definitely say the first one is my dad. He passed away in 2002, but he always told me that I was born to do this. I was born to use the gift that God gave me, and so that's what I've been trying to do the most of. In that sense, I'm basically just continuing a legacy. But besides him, I would definitely say my family, my friends, close ones, people that I have learned to call family, who've supported me and pushed me and even gave me good guidance over the years. So I would just say all those that allowed me to have them as a stepping stone or as a helping hand to get up to the next level and then turn around and try to help them, those are the people that I look at as heroes.
If you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now, anybody that you really admire, who would you like to meet? Who would you like to talk to for a little while?
Oh, man, there's way too many people. I think one of the main people I would love to talk to is a voice actor and director and writer himself, and that would be Mr. Taliesin Jaffe. He is honestly the one that kicked the switch off in my head when I was down, and he was in an interview with a friend of his, and he just made the comment, it's like, you know what? If you ever wanted to do anything, just go do it. Go do it. And for some reason, those words that he said just boop, hit that switch on me and said, I want to be a voice actor. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be a stage actor. I'm going to be a voice actor. and it's allowed me to do things I've never thought I'd ever be able to do. So definitely him. If I could ever have a guest on my podcast, I would definitely say Mr. Walter Mosley would be a huge person for me that I would really love. And for my co-host, I think would be Stephen King.
So, art is something that always moves us, that makes us want to be better. What has it been for you? Whether it's been a book or a movie or an actor, who has really inspired you consistently throughout your life with watching their work?
I would definitely say some of the older jazz players in life have always been people that have always helped me to get inspired. Obviously, like any other jazz player out there or lover, Miles Davis is definitely one of them. Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Glenn Miller, Artie Shaw. I mean, pretty much any of the icons in jazz during the early years. I love their work. I love their music. But in regards to TV or anything else, honestly, I can't say that I have one person because I find that everybody has a unique story and a unique way of looking at things, and those are what I'd like to pick up. I like to really just look at people's work and say, I liked it because of this, and I'll grab it. Sir Anthony Hopkins is one of those major people. He's an amazing actor. He's an amazing person. Jack Nicholson, he looks at certain things in a different light. Tim Curry, Mark Hamill. There's so many people. There's so many women and men in the arts that just do such amazing work. And I think just having fun exploring and seeing how it inspires you, if it's just maybe one word or if it's 1,000 words, I think the journey of going through the craft is more fun than, the end.
So kind of returning to the first question I asked you about, the world coming out of COVID, what are you looking forward to doing? Are you kind of fast-tracking things now that the world's opening up and things are in a different place? Are you moving at a different pace?
Honestly, things have slowly picked up for me, thankfully. Being a voice actor, it was really hard at first because, again, I started this back in 2019, and, there were a lot of projects that got shut down because of COVID. So finding other ways and means to get your voice out there has always been fun. And because of that, and trying to figure out what is, in front of the bell before it rings in voiceover, I decided to go into audiobooks. And instead of being like most voice actors and just going to the auditions and then waiting for someone to say yes to you, I decided to create my podcast with God literally throwing it in my lap and say, here you go, have fun with it. And just being able to create long-term beneficial relationships with publishers, more specifically the indie industry, and then just having fun talking to them, being able to interview their authors, learning their stories, picking up tips and tricks of the trade, and then being able to transition it into being able to have that chance to be a voice actor for them or be at, events. So for me, honestly, everything's picked up a lot more here in the past couple of months because I've been able to be continuously hustle and work to create these benefits with them. So it's fun. I look forward to whatever else comes my way.
What's been the best client fan response you've ever gotten from your work?
I think, oh man, the best thing I've ever gotten from a fan. Continue doing what you're doing. You seem to have fun, so keep doing it. And when I can feel that you're having fun with it, then I know that it's going to be great, and everything is better when you have fun with it, when you have that passion in it. So I think when I see some of the reviews for my podcast, Beyond the Pen, or even some of my voiceover stuff, it's always still interesting to get people coming up to you and saying, I love your work, I think you're amazing at it, or something to that effect, or just like, I want you to do a voice for me. Or even the fact that, if I'm creating, improv a character right there in front of them and just seeing their face, that's one of the most amazing things more than someone praising me. And also just having someone tell me, you could have done better at this, and here's why. And they're looking at it like, okay, yeah, I see that. Okay, I take that, appreciate it, and I will work on it. So having that foot in the door of knowing that you're not perfect, but also knowing that you can get better at it too.
So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your clients, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of you. What do you think you are?
I'm a work in progress. That's what I am. I am someone who is still trying to climb that creative mountain in front of me to get to one summit, and then finding that there's more mountains in front of me to climb, and enjoying it and looking at like, yes, all right, here we go. Here's the next part of the journey.
So Maccabee, if anybody wants to know more about you, your work, anything, hire you, anything related to your world, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, there's two great places that you can go to. One is obviously my website, mackgriffinvo.com, MackGriffin, V as in Victor, O as in Oscar.com. And then, of course, beyondthepenpodcast.com. You can always hear me and my sister from another Mr. Marcella, who is also a voice actress, interviewing authors every week on your favorite podcasting platform, and just having fun.
Perfect. Maccabee, this has been great, man. Thank you for taking time out. Good luck with everything.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, and music around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.